My parents did everything right. That is the sentence I have to start with because it matters. They did everything right. My father, Robert, worked at the same manufacturing plant for 41 years. He started on the floor at 22. He retired as a shift supervisor at 63. He never missed a day he didn't have to miss. He never complained about the hours. He never asked for more than he was given. My mother, Eleanor, taught 4th grade for 38 years. Same school, same classroom for 22 of those years. She knew every child's name. She stayed late to grade papers. She bought supplies with her own money when the school budget ran out. Together, they raised 3 children. They paid their mortgage. They drove the same cars for 12 years. They took 1 vacation a year, always somewhere they could drive to. And every single month, without exception, they saved. Not a lot, but something. Always something. They had a rule in our house. Pay yourself first. It wasn't a book they read. It wasn't advice from a financial planner. It was just what responsible people did. Or so they believed. By the time my father retired at 63, they had saved $280,000. $280,000. 40 years of discipline. 40 years of choosing the careful thing. 40 years of saying no to the things they wanted so they could say yes to security. $280,000. It was sitting in a savings account at their local bank. Safe, insured, responsible. Exactly where everyone told them it should be. The bank paid them 0.5% interest per year. 0.5%. While inflation over those same decades averaged 3.8% per year. Do you see the gap? 0.5% coming in. 3.8% eating away. Every single year. Quietly. Without announcement. Without a letter from the bank. Without anyone calling to explain what was happening to the money my parents spent their lives saving. Let me show you what that gap actually means. In 1985, $280,000 could buy a specific life. A paid-off house, a reliable car, 10 years of comfortable retirement, money left for their children. By the time my father retired in 2024, that same $280,000 sitting in that savings account had the purchasing power of roughly $118,000. In 1985 dollars, they didn't spend it. Nobody stole it. It didn't disappear in the market. It was right there in the account. Every penny. But the world around it had changed, and the money had not kept up. $162,000. Gone. Not taken, not lost, not gambled, evaporated. By a system that my parents were never taught to understand. By a process that has a name, that is discussed in economics classrooms, that every bank understands completely, and that nobody explained to Robert and Eleanor, who spent 40 years doing exactly what they were told to do. My mother found out in the spring of 2024. She was sitting at the kitchen table with a calculator and a piece of paper. She had written down what things cost when they started saving. A bag of groceries, a tank of gas, a doctor's visit, a utility bill. Then she wrote down what those same things cost now. She sat there for a long time. Then she called me. She didn't say much. She just said, "The numbers don't work." I came over that afternoon. We sat at the same kitchen table where I had done my homework as a child, and she showed me the paper. I already knew what I was looking at, but seeing it through her eyes was something different. She had done everything right. The bag of groceries that cost $60 in 1990 now costs $190. The utility bill that was $80 a month is now $240. The doctor's visit that was a $20 copay is now $180 out of pocket. The $280,000 that was supposed to last them through retirement was going to run out. Not because they were irresponsible, because nobody told them that saving money is not the same thing as protecting money. Because nobody explained that a bank account paying 0.5% in a world where inflation runs at 3.8% is not saving, it is losing. Slowly, politely, with a smile and a free calendar at Christmas. Here is the thing about inflation that nobody teaches in school. It is not an accident. It is not a surprise. Every central bank in the developed world targets an inflation rate of around 2% per year. 2% is the goal, which means the system is designed to make your money worth less every single year. Not occasionally, not in a crisis, every year, by design. And if your savings are growing at 0.5% in an account that the bank profits from, while inflation runs at 2, 3, 4%, you are not saving. You are funding the bank's margin while your purchasing power disappears. My parents were not foolish. They were betrayed by a gap between what they were taught and what the system actually does. They were told, work hard, spend less than you earn, put the rest in the bank and you will be fine. Half of that advice is correct. The first two parts, work hard, spend less than you earn, but put the rest in the bank. A savings account is not an investment. It is a storage unit. And unlike a storage unit, it doesn't even protect what you put inside. While my parents' money sat in the bank earning 0.5%, the S&P 500 over that same 40-year period returned an average of 10.5% per year. If my parents had invested even half of their savings, $140,000, into a simple broad market index fund and left it alone, it would have grown to over $1,200,000. Not through risk, not through gambling, not through anything complicated, through time and a basic understanding of how money actually works. $118,000 in real purchasing power, or $1,200,000. Same starting point, same 40 years, same discipline, different knowledge. That is the cost of not knowing. That is what the gap between what we are taught and what is actually true costs a family. My father doesn't talk about it much. He is not angry. He is 72 years old and he spent his life doing what he believed was right. And he is not going to spend his remaining years in bitterness about it. But my mother keeps the piece of paper. She keeps it in the kitchen drawer next to the calculator. Not as a reminder of what they lost, as a reminder of what she wants her grandchildren to know. She told me, make sure they understand what we didn't. Not because we weren't smart, because nobody told us. And that is the question worth sitting with. Who benefits from you not knowing? The bank collects the margin between what they pay you and what they earn on your money. The system needs people to believe that keeping money safe means keeping it still. 40 years of my parents' discipline funded other people's returns. Not out of malice, out of a knowledge gap that nobody in that system had a financial incentive to close. If you have parents who save their whole lives and are watching those savings shrink faster than expected, this video is for them. If you are in your 20s or 30s and someone told you, just put it in the bank, this video is for you. The math is not complicated. Inflation minus your savings rate equals what you are actually losing per year. Write that number down. Then decide if you are comfortable with it. My parents were comfortable, because they didn't know the number existed. Now you do. Share this with someone who needs to see it. And if this story felt familiar, subscribe, because the truth doesn't advertise itself. And the people who profit from you not knowing it have very large advertising budgets.